This video was never supposed to go this long, so I just wanted to make this, I guess, kind of to apologize for rambling on so long. Hopefully the information helped someone. But I almost forgot one of the most important things, and that's Google Voice. Google Voice can be used to make calls, and I don't even fully understand Google Voice myself, and I've used it for a while now. But there's one really awesome feature about Google Voice, which can be great if you're going to be changing carriers a lot and using prepaid plans. If you pay Google Voice $20, one time you can have a phone number associated with you. It can be the phone number that you currently have with your current service provider, or you can have it be a number that they just pick and give you. Once you have this Google Voice number, this is your number for life. It doesn't matter how many times you change carriers. All you got to do is log into the Google Voice website and update your current phone. So say the new carrier gives you a new phone number. You go to the Google Voice website, you type that new phone number in. Okay, so for instance, let's say when you get your Google Voice number, it's 555-5555. So now this month you decide you want to use Straight Talk, and they give you some random number. You go to Google Voice, you punch that random number in, and no matter what the number is that your phone is using, if anybody calls 555-5555, it's going to ring to the phone that you have programmed into Google Voice. You could even do this with your house phone and your office phone and your wife's phone and your kid's phone. You can have 15 phones set up, and all of those phones can have different phone numbers. But if somebody dials 555-5555, your permanent Google number, it will ring all of those phones at once. So you can change carriers as often as you want. You only have to have your number ported over to Google Voice one time, or be willing to start fresh with a new number from Google Voice. I think the service, I said it was $20 when I did it a few years ago, but that makes it a lot easier to avoid all of this BS that keeps people tricked and locked into phone contracts. Another nice thing about it is it can be a little annoying too, but it's also kind of nice. When I go to make a phone call out, it asks me, would you like to call using Google Voice or not? If I choose to call using Google Voice, then my permanent Google Voice number, 555-5555, will show up on the caller ID of whoever I'm calling. If I choose to call without Google Voice, then whatever number my current carrier has assigned to my phone will show up on the person I'm calling's caller ID. So if you don't want somebody to have your permanent number, you just call without Google Voice, and it comes up with whatever number's associated with your phone at that time. And if you want to change phones next month, then that number's nothing. You just delete it from your Google Voice list. Hope that makes sense. Anyways, I hope the rest of this video helps you out. And sorry, it's like 30 minutes long. I think this is the longest video I've ever done. It'll probably take until tomorrow before it actually gets uploaded. Cell phones, and cell phones. Seems to be an ever-changing subject that is definitely relevant to the entire van-dwelling and RVing community. Who can you use? Who's going to give you the best service, the most data, and the best price? And like I said, it's an ever-changing answer to an ever-changing question. I've tried them all, and everybody's got a preference. And no matter what I say in this video, somebody will surely disagree with me. But again, I've tried them all. I've been doing this for a while, and even before I started uploading videos through YouTube, data had always been a very important feature for me, because I download a lot of shows that I like to watch. I enter a lot of contests. I just like to play around on Facebook and argue with people on the internet. And, general internet stupidity. And that takes data, and data costs money. So, let's see here. Verizon. Verizon seems to be everybody's best choice. And if you can afford it, go for it. Problem with Verizon is you're going to pay for every bit of data that you get with them. And I have been in quite a few places where I've seen people with Verizon phones have absolutely zero signal when I've got AT&T on my tablet and T-Mobile on my phone, and they're both working fine. But then again, I've been other places where I have no signal, and I've got to go ask somebody using Verizon, hey, can I use your phone to make a call real quick? But generally, keeping AT&T on my tablet and T-Mobile on my phone was a pretty darn good combination that got me by fairly well for years. But my most recent tablet did not have the antennas or the SIM card slot built in. And T-Mobile, I had actually been using, there was a time when I used T-Mobile directly from the company. Then I decided to start using T-Mobile through Straight Talk. Now, Straight Talk will allow you to use Verizon, T-Mobile, or AT&T. If you want to use Verizon on Straight Talk, you have to buy a Verizon-compatible phone. Verizon, Sprint, and Boost all use the type of network known as CDMA. That's the type of antenna and frequency that they use. So you can buy a CDMA Straight Talk phone, or possibly an unlocked CDMA Straight Talk phone, and have it sent over to Straight Talk and hooked on through their service. You can also buy the other type of towers are called GSM. Both T-Mobile and AT&T use GSM towers. Now, you can buy a Straight Talk GSM SIM card or a Straight Talk GSM T-Mobile. Did I say AT&T the first time? You can buy an AT&T Straight Talk SIM or a T-Mobile Straight Talk SIM. Both of those are GSM SIMs. You can either buy the phone directly through Straight Talk, which they do have some decent phones nowadays, but I don't recommend that. Your best choice is to buy a phone directly unlocked from the manufacturer. If you're an iPhone person, you've probably stopped listening already. Although the service still applies to you. You can buy an unlocked iPhone and take it with you. You're going to pay a hefty penny, though. You're almost better off to just sign a contract, which is something I tell people to never sign a contract, especially right now, the way things are changing in the cell phone world. I digress. Back to the unlocked cell phones. There are quite a few options out there. The most common options would be to go directly to Google Play and purchase one of the unlocked cell phones that they sell directly there from Google Play. Example being the Nexus 6, which we'll get to in a little bit. I've had the Nexus 4 as the most current Nexus I've owned. You can also go to OnePlus One. That's the phone I use for all of my videos. That's what I'm using now. It's one of the best phones of 2014. All the review sites agree. It's always ranked within the top 4 or 5 phones. I sure like it anyways. They're $299 for a 16 gigabyte version and $350 for a 64 gigabyte version. They come with CyanogenMod. I hope I said that right. Pre-installed. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. But people who like to root their Android devices and put custom ROMs on them, they know what that is. And that's one of the nice features about it. Although CM and OnePlus have recently had a falling out, and I'm not sure if they're going to have the same association when the OnePlus 2 phone comes out. But now here's the third option, and this is what I've suggested to a couple of people recently, which seems to be working really well for them, and that is to go directly to Motorola.com and order one of their phones unlocked. You can get the Motorola E, I believe it's the E, for as little as $124 in the GSM version. That's brand new, unlocked, decent sized screen, all the features you would expect in a high-end smartphone from 2013. That's why it's $120. It's not a 2015 top end, but everything in that was top end just a couple years ago. So it's still a really good phone, and it has one of the newer softwares and a respectable camera and a decent sized screen, and it's unlocked, no contract. So once you've got that, or any phone, if you're with a company right now and you call in and request them to unlock your phone, they have to do it. Tell them that you want to travel internationally. They may have even done away with that. I think a couple years ago they passed a law where these carriers are not allowed to lock the phones to begin with now. But if your phone is locked, you can just call the company and tell them that you want to travel internationally and you would like to have your phone unlocked. Then you can jump out of your contract and take your phone wherever you want. Straight Talk, $45 a month. Simple Mobile, $40 a month. Simple Mobile only gives you the option of using AT&T's towers. Straight Talk, as I said, gives you the option of T-Mobile towers, AT&T towers, or Verizon towers, depending on which SIM or which phone you have. Then there's a couple of other options. Right now, Metro PCS, they have made a merger with T-Mobile, so they're now able to use the entire T-Mobile network as well as the Sprint network when you're in the larger cities. But T-Mobile usually has awesome signal if you're in a big city. It's when you get out in the rural areas that T-Mobile is limited to 2G, and that's why I don't personally use them anymore. There was a while T-Mobile was offering true unlimited 4G, and if you were lucky enough to be in a place where their 4G was active, you literally could use all the internet you wanted. That was an awesome plan, and I thought everybody was going to go that way, but recently T-Mobile did away with that plan, so I'm not sure what's going on, but things are changing right now with the entire net neutrality law changes and Google joining the cell phone carrier market. That's right, Google is now going to be a cell phone carrier. If you have a Nexus 6 and you get in on a referral system, I haven't looked into it because I don't have the Nexus 6, you can sign up for Google's carrier service. And I forget the specifics, but I believe it is also, I believe it's backed by everybody. I believe it has access to Sprint's network, T-Mobile's network, Verizon's network, everybody's network, because they're Google. They own everything, right? I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's what's going to happen. Is the Google network? I don't think they actually have contracts with everybody, just almost everybody. And so the ones who haven't signed up with them yet, they're going to want to jump on board. Especially when you consider that Google's making the phones that these carriers are selling. They're going to do whatever it takes to keep Google happy. So with the changes to the net neutrality laws and Google entering the cell phone market, we're going to see some big changes in the next couple years. And that's why I really suggest that you guys don't sign contracts right now. Do whatever you can to avoid it, because you're going to end up paying more when the prices drop dramatically and the amount of gigabytes go up dramatically. I'm down to 23 seconds. One downside of this phone is it only lets me record in 10-minute segments. So then I have to stop it and start a new one and merge them together. Not a big deal. It's just a little bit of an annoyance. So I had been using Straight Talk for the last few years. I had a Straight Talk AT&T SIM and a Straight Talk T-Mobile SIM. And what I would do, I don't travel too much because gas is expensive, being on a fixed income. It's not like I'm going to drive 1,000 miles every month. I usually try to go 2, 3, 4, 5 at the most, 100 miles in 1 month. Less if possible. It all depends on where I'm camping and how many things there are to do there. So what I would do is each month, before I would pay for my monthly prepaid plan, I'd go online and I would see who had the better coverage in whichever area I planned to camp. And if T-Mobile had the better coverage, then I would activate my T-Mobile SIM. If AT&T had the better coverage, then I would activate my AT&T SIM. Both of these SIMs are Straight Talk AT&T SIMs and Straight Talk T-Mobile SIMs. So I was still only paying the $45 a month to Straight Talk. No extra fees or BS. Actually, I think it was $46 a month, so there was some kind of a tax or BS fee put on there. But not like with your real carriers where they're constantly sticking you with all these unexplainable... You know what I'm talking about if you've got a real carrier. So I did that for a while, and it was working pretty good, except after 3 gigabytes, they slow you down. It used to be 2, and they increased it to 3, which was nice of them. But after 3 gigabytes, they slow you down to 64 kbps. Now, if you're old enough to remember using dial-up, that was 56. 64 is not much better. And if you have a weak signal and you're using 64, good luck loading even Facebook with all the photos. Take 10 minutes just to get the first 10 posts on your Facebook feed to load. So I had to get rid of T-Mobile, or Straight Talk. Both Straight Talk T-Mobile and Straight Talk AT&T. Even with the Straight Talk Verizon, I just couldn't handle... Stop poking me with your... This damn dog keeps poking me with her arm. So, recently, looking at the AT&T GoPhone site, I realized that AT&T, it's a little more per month. I'm paying $60 instead of $45. But they're going to give me 4 gigabytes of high speed before they slow me down. And here's the important part. When they do slow me down, they're only going to slow me down to 128 kbps. Now that's still throttled, but it's twice as fast as the throttled speed I was getting from Straight Talk. One nice thing about having a prepaid unlimited plan, if you're doing YouTube videos, is once you've reached your throttle point and you've used up your high-speed data for the month, you can use as much as you want. They're never going to shut you off. It's just really slow. So you can do short videos. Well, you could do long videos if you want, but you can do at least short videos. What I do is once I've been throttled, I'll do some short videos, and I will just set my phone up overnight and let it spend the whole night up. You know, if it takes 24 hours to upload a 2-minute video, oh, well, it didn't cost me any extra. So that's kind of cool about using these unlimited carriers that throttle you. But now, with the AT&T's throttling being twice the speed, I don't know. We'll find out. I'm still parked in a friend's yard using their Wi-Fi, so I haven't had a chance to really give this AT&T GoPhone a run for its money, but it's got to be better than what I was using before. Now, in addition to this, I also have an AT&T GoPhone hotspot, which I have used for the last few months, and I've been extremely happy with that. One nice thing about it is, if you live in a trailer or an RV, you know how these walls can kind of block out signal. I mean, I understand why. It's because the layers and the insulation and the tin on the aluminum on the outside. But being in an RV or even a mobile home, in a mobile home park, a lot of times you get a really, really weak signal. And one option is to get a Wilson signal booster, or anybody's signal booster. You put the antenna on the outside and the repeater on the inside, and it's as if you don't have walls there. It's almost like you're standing outside. Of course, it won't make a cell phone signal, but it will improve the cell phone signal inside to the quality of a cell phone signal outside. But the nice thing about this little wireless hotspot, I can take it and set it in the window or on the roof if I want. I can set it anywhere in my RV and get the best possible signal, and then it retransmits that via Wi-Fi to whichever device I'm using, whether it be my cell phone, my tablet, my Xbox, whatever. And the other nice thing about the AT&T hotspot system is you have 3 payment tiers that you can start out with each month. It's a prepaid plan. You can pay $25 and you can get 2 gigabytes of data. Or you can pay $50 and you can get 5 gigabytes of data. or you can pay $80 and get 8 gigabytes of data. It gets kind of expensive after a while, especially when you're uploading a lot of videos. I'm going to try to upload... There I go, snorting on camera. I've got allergies. They got me all fucked up. If you haven't noticed, my voice is a little gravelly too. The nice thing about this is, okay, say you get the $25 a month plan and you want to add extra gigabytes later in the month if you've used up your limit. At $25, they're going to charge you $10 for every 500 megabytes extra. If you have the $50 plan, then for each additional $10, you will get an additional gigabyte. If you have the $80 a month plan, for each additional $10, you will get 2 more gigabytes. So that actually works out not too bad if you're going to be using more than 8 gigabytes a month. Ideally, I'd like to be using about 160, and that would cost me... So that would come out to $120 for 16 gigabytes. And I believe you can go to even more than that if you want. I haven't seen anything in the fine print saying that there's a cap. And once you've bought the 8 for 80, 2 more for an additional $10, say you spent another $100, that would be another 20 gigabytes. So with the original 80 for 8... $180, you would get 28 gigabytes per month. That's pretty. It's a lot of money, but that's a lot of gigabytes too. It's a pretty good deal. And the AT&T network seems to work. I've used them all, and AT&T seems to be the most reliable as far as I'm concerned. I hate to say that because I really hate AT&T. There was a time when I was a huge fan of T-Mobile. T-Mobile was doing really good, but they've just gotten worse and worse. All they've done is concentrated on making their speeds faster in the big cities. Who the hell needs 48 Mbps? 15 is plenty. 10 is plenty. 5 is plenty for most anything you want to do. So I don't know. They kind of blew it there when they started putting all their effort into increasing the speeds in the large cities to speeds that are people don't even need, when they just kind of let the rural communities like here in Lake Isabella go. I used to could get about 256 Mbps using T-Mobile's 2G network up here in Lake Isabella. But since they haven't done any improvements since I started using it in 2009, for the 1 month that I did use it up here, I was getting about 3 Mbps per second. And it was pitiful. I started talking to other people who were on T-Mobile, running speed tests using their phones and getting the exact same results. I called T-Mobile and threw a hissy fit, and they offered me $30 credit. I think I've still got that on there. If I'm ever in a big city, I might activate one of their SIMs just to get a few extra gigabytes and use up that $30. But yeah, T-Mobile kind of really let me down. There's another option out there too. There's probably a lot more options that I'm not even mentioning, but just today somebody on one of these internet forums mentioned an option called Ting, T-I-N-G. It's a different kind of a cell phone company. Apparently, from what I've read, you need referrals to get in. The cost is extremely low. I guess you pay per minute and per gigabyte, and the costs are supposed to be really reasonable. I'm going to have to look more into it. If you're interested, and of course, go look it up yourself. I first heard about them a couple years ago, and when I realized that they were backed by the Sprint network, I was just, okay, I don't need to hear that, because Sprint only works in the big cities. They may have a little bit of rural coverage up north, but mostly Sprint only works in the big cities. And even in the big cities, the Sprint speeds are never what they say they're supposed to be. If you don't know it, Boost Mobile, Virgin Mobile, Sprint, they all use Sprint's towers. There's a couple other ones that do too, like Metro PCS, except Metro also now has a contract with T-Mobile. And that's why I'm mentioning Ting. I just found out that Ting, back in March of this year, signed a contract with T-Mobile, so now Ting users also have access. What just happened to the brightness? T-Mobile users also have access to the Ting network. So that may be something that some of you might want to check out. But myself, I'm still mostly interested in the Google cellular phone service. I don't want to go out and buy a Nexus 6 just so I can use it. Although I think the Nexus 6 is a great phone. I love my OnePlus One. We'll see what happens when the OnePlus 2 comes out. If CM is still involved, I'll definitely be getting a OnePlus 2. If not, if it's going to be just the stock Android like they're using on the Oxygen operating system. If you're not a OnePlus One user, this probably sounds like Spanish to you right now, but for the few people who do know what I'm talking about, if it's going to be just like the Oxygen system that they're using right now, which is a stock Android build, I'd rather go with another Nexus phone again. But if they do keep some sort of a relationship with CyanogenMod, and there is a CM software on the OnePlus 2, then I will definitely be getting the OnePlus 2. Otherwise, I always keep my options open. I hate to stay locked into any one company. Samsung's really good. They have a few too much bloatware for me, things that they put on their devices which eat up the memory that I don't really like. Now that I have a computer, I could go onto my Samsung devices, wipe the software, put CM on there myself if I wanted, or put a stock build of Android, but it's just not worth it. It's working well enough for what I need. Samsung's pretty good. There's just a few things that bother me about Samsung devices. So if anybody's got any questions, feel free to post. That was so weird. Speaking about operating systems, I just recently was upgraded from KitKat CM11 to Lollipop, which is CM12, and ever since I've had some really, really weird issues with my phone. For the most part, it's working great, but twice during this last video, everything has faded out. It's gotten really dark. This time it did it while I was talking, and I didn't touch the screen to refocus, and it went ahead and just shut the video off and shut the screen off. So I guess somehow the screen timeout function on this does not realize that I'm actually using the phone when I'm recording videos. But then again, that doesn't make sense either, because the first part of this, I talked for 10 minutes straight without the phone going into hibernate mode. I don't know. But this phone has been really good. They've already said they're working with any of the Android phones when they come out with a new operating system that they install. There's always some sort of minor bugs that they're going to have to send out a supplementary update for later on, or a patch update, or I forget the exact word. An incremental update is the word that I'm looking for. They call them incremental updates. And basically it's just a patch to fix the shit that they didn't have right when they gave you the first update. That's one of the downsides about Android. But it's not really that big a downside. Anybody who's made the switch from iPhone to Android, they know that the few bugs don't even weigh in compared to the awesome features that we always get 2 years before iPhone people get them. Do whatever you want, buy whatever phone you want, even if it's a Windows phone. Hey, did you hear Windows phones? They just signed some sort of a contract where they're now going to be able to use iPhone and Android apps. Of course, the developers are going to have to do their magic to make it compatible, but yeah, they're going to have access to the same apps as us. So Windows Phone might actually have a chance 3 years later when they've almost gone out of business. I kind of can't believe how long this video is going. So here's Simple Mobile. They have several plans. Each one gives you a different amount of data before they throttle you. And when they throttle you to 64 kbps. They used to have a $40 plan, which is why I came here. Apparently they don't have a $40 plan anymore, which makes them not nearly as interesting. So, goodbye. Next up, this is the type of mobile hotspot I'm using from AT&T Go Phone. Maybe looking at the payment setup makes it a little bit easier to understand than just hearing me talk about it. As you see, the additional data gets cheaper depending on what you start with. And I was wrong. It's not 80, it's 75. Another thing I was wrong about when I was talking about Simple Mobile earlier, I said that they were backed by the AT&T network. That's not true. They are actually on the T-Mobile network. Now, Ting, I don't know a lot about. I'm learning it as I go. But it's a different kind of company. Apparently, you can get an average bill of $23 a month. If you're one of those people that like to experiment with new things, you may want to go check this out. The problem is, it says Sprint device, but I just read that they now have a contract with T-Mobile also, which means they should be able to use GSM devices as well as CDMA or Sprint Verizon type devices. So this could be a great option, but if I suggest you look into it yourself. If I ever look into it more, I'm happy with what I've got now, but if I decide to look into this and learn more about it, I'll do a little video on that. Now, for my phone itself, I'm using the AT&T $60 a month plan. This page didn't load up the way I had expected. So, bear with me a second. Okay, here we go. As you see, they have a $60 a month plan. Now, it gives you 4 gigabytes of data, but the key here, once they've throttled you, they're only throttling you down to 128. That's twice the speed of most of these other unlimited plans that throttle you down. Now, this is another possibility that I don't know a lot about, but it seems like a pretty good deal. You can get 1 gigabyte of high speed and then unlimited slow for 30, or apparently they may be still offering a true unlimited plan for $60. It says of up to 4G. I don't believe when they say up to, it means that they're going to throttle you. I believe when they say up to, that means that it depends on where you're at and how fast the internet there is. If you're using them, and of course they've now got a deal with T-Mobile, and you're in a big city, you could have unlimited, really truly unlimited, using T-Mobile through Metro PCS here for $60 a month. That would be amazing. Problem is, in a lot of rural areas, T-Mobile only has 2G, so that's why they say up to. It depends on where you're located, and it also depends on your phone. Some older phones can only do 3G. They're not actually capable of true LTE 4G. Now we're going to look at the phones I was talking about a little bit. Of course, this is the phone I have, the OnePlus One. They have it in white and black, and you can see the prices there. I don't know if I'm going to go all into the specs, but basically this had all the high-end features for a low-end price, which is what I used to love about the Nexus. Before this, I had a Nexus 4, and the Nexus 4 started at $299, which was great. The Nexus 5 was even reasonably priced, but then they came out with the Nexus 6, and they want $649. Now, don't get me wrong, the Nexus 6 is an awesome phone. I don't know if it's $649 awesome. One thing to keep in mind when you're getting any of these phones from a carrier by signing a contract, if you wanted to go out and buy the newest Samsung Galaxy phone, it actually costs $600. The carrier may be telling you, oh, you're getting it for $200, and we're going to, break that $200 up over 12 months. But when you actually look into it, that they're charging you for that phone every single month in your service. That's why you're paying more for the service. For the same service I'm getting with AT&T, I'd be paying about $80 to $100, and I might get rollover, but I don't believe I'd get to keep going after a throttled point. I think they would charge me more. With T-Mobile, well, basically, any new phone, even if they tell you you're getting it for a deal by signing a contract, you're still really paying that much for the dang thing. Over the course of the contract, with all the other fees they get you with, the phone companies, they still have to pay a hefty penny for these phones. So this seems crazy, but if you can afford to pay that up front, then it's not really a bad option. But most of us can't. That's why you've got other unlocked phones that are also awesome, like the Moto E, which starts at $199. Now they have different models. If they have some that are only capable of 3G, and they have some that are capable of 4G. If you want 4G, of course, it's going to raise the price a little bit, or maybe not. Yeah, I think my internet's just acting up right now. Usually changing that option brings the price up about another $20. But it's got Lollipop, which is the newest software. A lot of the top-end phones that are out there right now don't have Lollipop. It's got a quad-core processor, 8 gigabytes of storage, which is pretty small, but it does have the option for an SD card, so you could put up to another 64 gigabytes. A lot of Android phones have gotten rid of SD card options, which kind of bums me out, but this one does have it, so that's nice. My OnePlus One has 64 gigabytes built in, which is enough, but I really wish it had an SD card also, because, doing video takes a lot of storage. Now this only has a 5 megapixel camera, but for a $130 phone that you're getting without a contract, unlocked, and a decent sized screen and the newest software and a good processor, can't really complain too much over the 5 megapixel camera. Wow, this video went really long. Do whatever you want. Don't let anyone tell you you can't. And just try to make the smartest purchases you can when you buy your phones and your data. That's why I did this video. If I help even one person get a better deal, then it's all worth it, right? Was that the last page I wanted to show you? Yeah. Okay. You all be good.